What if everything you think about yourself to be true simply wasn't? What if you had the choice to change your thoughts, to change your beliefs, your stories, completely transform your identity, and become the person who you truly want to be in this life? I want you to take a moment to pause and let that really sink in. Because the thing is, most people lead their lives never questioning the most important underlying thing that actually shapes their entire life. And that is who they think they are. Hi, my name is Nihala. I'm a spiritual teacher and the founder of Spiritual Tech Systems. We're a nonprofit that focuses on technology and systems to empower people to actually earn a living and be abundant while staying true to their higher calling, staying focused on what it is that they're here to do. If you are someone who feels a misalignment between your outer and your inner worlds, so how you're perceived, how you show up in the world currently doesn't quite align with how you feel inside, you feel that there's something more, you feel that there's something missing, then this video is for you. Because in this video, we're going to talk about identity. And no, I don't mean your name. I don't mean your job. I don't mean whether you're a son or a daughter or a wife or a husband, an employer or an employee. None of the story or the personality, your likes or your dislikes, your habits, your hobbies. This is something deeper. In this video, we are going to talk about who you really are. So let's start out by talking about who you think you are and why you're not who you think you are. So who we think we are is really just a story. It's an idea, a collection of beliefs that we've picked up from outside of ourselves and carried forward with us. These can come from our upbringing, from our culture, from our society, from our parents, from our friends. We learn them in childhood, and they might be things that we like, things that we don't like, and we pick them up and we mistakenly took them to be ourselves. Some examples of this are, I am not creative. I don't belong in rooms like that. I'm really strong and capable. I'm a great dancer. And while you might objectively think these things to be true, if you actually look at them, so for example, I'm not creative. This is a belief that you may hold, but it may actually stem from an experience you had as a child where somebody told you that you weren't creative and you got negative feedback. And in an attempt to protect yourself, you assumed this identity, you assumed this belief, oh, I'm just not creative, that's why. I'm just not good at art. Or vice versa, I'm very strong, I'm very capable. Maybe growing up, you had a lot of experience of people telling you, oh, you can do that, you can do these things. You're very strong, you're very capable. And you internalize that, and it became a belief that you have that you carry forward. And the thing about it is that once you have these beliefs, everything that you do comes from this place, right? So because you believe yourself to be a certain way, because you have these thoughts, you have the story of who you are, the next action that you take is in alignment with those beliefs. Because you think you're this way, then you act a certain way. And it's a self-perpetuating thing. So people that don't question their beliefs, don't change them, kind of hit a certain place and operate a certain way. But here's the thing. You're actually programmable because identity is a system. And the way that system works, right, if you look at your life now, there are certain beliefs that you hold. And because you hold those beliefs, you act in the world in a certain way. When you act in the world in that way, from those beliefs, it leads to certain results. There's feedback from your environment, from the people around you, that often either reaffirm that belief, or sometimes they counteract it and they might lead to new beliefs. And the basis of these beliefs are your thoughts. So if we actually are able to intercept and change our thoughts and our beliefs, then we can change our identity and completely transform ourselves, taking our power back from this constructed self-identity that we hold. This way of describing it with beliefs, actions, results, and this feedback loop is something that I'm learning in this program with Charlie Morgan. But this is actually not something that's new. Thousands of years ago, Buddha talks about this and says, You are what you think. With your thoughts, you make the world. Think or act with a pure mind, and happiness follows. Think or act with an impure mind, and then trouble will follow you like a shadow. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And you may hear the same thing from many different people, because even though we may look different, talk differently, come from different cultures, have very, very different personalities, because we've picked up different things from our society, been born in different places, different ethnicities, etc. The cool thing is that actually we're not so different at all. Our operating system is the same, and this personality, this self that we think we are, is the program. So when someone has started to see the underpinnings of the operating system and they know how the program works and learned how to change their own program, they're able to share that knowledge. So it's super cool. And maybe because I'm an engineer, I really love that analogy, but it makes a lot of sense to me. So coming to the evolution of who you are and who you want to become. So you may notice within yourself that there's kind of a battle going on between the current version of yourself, the current beliefs, the ideas, the habits that you formed, and this future self that you aspire to be. It can feel like an inner war between the version of yourself that has a lot of self-doubt and doesn't want to do anything versus the version of yourself that knows that if you try, that there is a way. Even if you fail at the beginning, there is a way to success, that wants transformation. The version of yourself that seeks comfort versus the version of yourself that wants to change. So in the midst of all of this, what's really important, one, is recognizing the program, the operating system, the power of choice, the fact that you can change. And then two is seeing beyond the thoughts and the stories so that you can choose and install the thoughts, the stories, the beliefs that support who you are becoming. But in order to do that, first, you have to be able to actually see beyond yourself. And the most effective way to do that I've seen, because it can be very difficult and very challenging, right? Because of the feedback loops that we talked about, there's just been so much momentum in one direction because you've held on to a certain belief, a certain story, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There's a lot of momentum going in that direction. It takes a lot of energy to actually change it. And it's often not as easy as people say, just putting up an affirmation, just stating something to be true and changing that, right? And the most powerful way that I've seen in my life to actually start to transform and go past some of these more sticky, stronger held beliefs is through the practice of meditation and mindfulness. Because when you meditate, what you're doing is stopping thoughts. You're giving yourself, even if it's just for a brief moment, a pause between yourself, a little bit of distance between yourself and your thoughts, your stories, your beliefs, your ideas. It's like the world stops for a moment and you can actually see who you are beyond your thoughts. And then mindfulness comes in when you're not meditating and you're going through the world and some of these habits, these beliefs come up in your day that typically would take you a certain way, but you're consciously choosing now that this is not who you want to be. And then you can practice mindfulness to give yourself that space that you need to choose a different way, to choose a different thought. Because the truth is, you are not your thoughts. You are so much more. You are vast, limitless consciousness in this form, in this body. To quote Rumi, one of my favorite Sufi poets, you are the universe in ecstatic motion. So you are so much more beyond any thought, good or bad, that you have about yourself. When you meditate, you get this moment to actually see beyond who you think you are. For a moment, the world stops. For a moment, the you as you are stops, and you are free. It gives you that pause and gives you the power of choice. So then in your day, when you notice, as it will come up, right, one of these belief cycles happening, you can intercept it and change it, and it gives you that moment of clarity and presence to be able to make that choice. So the key is really seeing past your thoughts. When you see past your thoughts, you're able to tune in to who you really are, which you know in your heart to be true. But to experience that gives you a certain power that allows you to transform, because it's not just another idea, another concept, another belief, but it's an experiential reality. I hope this video was helpful in your journey to becoming who you truly are and living your highest potential in this life. If it does resonate with you, I invite you to please like, subscribe, and leave a comment for who you are becoming. For each one of us has a beautiful gift to share with the world, and the world is waiting for you. Please share that. I'd love to read it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.